Okay, so y'all, I want to get started and just really thank y'all for being here. I want to let you all know that we are, all four of us, we're going to be introducing ourselves in a second. My name is Courtney Teasley. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I am a part of the Million Dollar Connectors. We're a group of four women that really got to know each other during this Hello 7 Business Code certification. And each of us has networking, building a million dollar squad near and dear to our businesses. And it's something that we just naturally do within our natural strengths and abilities. And so we said, hey, we know how it felt when we were coming into different situations. We didn't have a squad per se, or we didn't have different things to do. And so we all banded together and said, you know what? No more. We're going to make it where people have a comfortable place to come, a place to feel at home, even if they go somewhere by themselves. There's no sweat, no big deal. So we'll be doing little events and different things, conferences and things of that nature to just make you feel more at home so you can feel prepared, feel ready to learn, ready to build your business. Each of us are Hello 7, we're pending certification, Hello 7 coaches, business coaches. And so we're so eager to share with you how to make 2024 a year of abundance. And so now I'll start with introducing myself, and then you all pop on in. The core four, you guys introduce yourselves. As soon as we're done introducing ourselves, we're going to go straight into telling you how you can just make 22, in our opinion, right? Things that we've utilized, things that we found have helped us. How can you use this to make 2024 a year of abundance, right? And as we're doing that, we want you to write in the comments if you have questions. We really want to engage. This is kind of laid back. This is not going to be us, hey, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, we're having fun with this. And so my name is Courtney Teasley. Once again, I am here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a lawyer. I'm an author. I am a business coach, and my strength is strength business coaching. So helping overqualified women find their zone of genius so that they can build businesses that not only enhance their lives, but also disrupt harmful systems around the world. So that's who I am. I'm looking forward to sharing with you what I think will help you make 2024 a year of abundance. And now I'm going to pass it on to Mel Well.
Okay, so Courtney just called me out. I was not prepared to go next, but it's okay, right?
You got it.
That is that's why we're here. So first, thank you all for joining us. She mentioned a lot about why we're here, and we're all part of the Hello 7 coaching certification program. We are the founding members of that program, and we're going to keep this simple. And one of the things that we're talking about, or that I'm talking about, is going to be boundaries. So my background lends itself to having a lot of boundaries in order to survive, being a military veteran, being a single parent, and just pretty much navigating this world, not necessarily alone, but being fully responsible for assets, financial assets, people, in different places around the world. And so what I wanted to do when I retired was not to go back into the government, because that's the easiest thing for us to do. I wanted to make a decision for my life and do something different that is more impactful, which is another reason why I retired, because I felt like I could do more outside of that uniform. So here I am, aligned with Rachel Rogers, and joined the program. And since then, it has been great. I've met women from around the world, to add to the phenomenal women that I've met in the military, or people that I've met in the military. And it's really teaching me how important it is to have boundaries. It is so okay. And one of the things I love to tell people is that no is a complete sentence. Okay. So I think Shonda Rhimes has a book called The Year of Yes. I read the book. It sounded great, but that was not for me. I like no, because as a leader, as a mother, as a person operating in this world where it's like a microwave world, everybody wants what they want right now and quick. I need time and I need space to be able to think. And I feel like by saying no, it buys you some time, because you can come back off of no. Being a single parent lends itself to, well, first having to make a decision about my life and how I wanted to move forward in my life, how I wanted to succeed in my career, which meant I can't have the little one all over the place. So it starts there with, giving him things that he needs to do and helping him to understand that, we're in this together. And there are things that I have to do to make sure that we are taken care of. And I need you to do your part. Like, I was seriously having, well, EJ, my son is on the line. And so he's going to find out that when he was born, we had a conversation. And that conversation was, look, I don't know you, you don't know me. But we are here and we're going to figure this thing out together. So don't yell at me. Just, you can just scream a little bit to get my attention, but show me grace, because I'm going to have to do the same for you. Coming up in a community where family helped, I didn't have that anymore. So having to delegate, or I'm sorry, set boundaries in my house, not just for him, but for myself, was crucial to my success and my longevity. Going to work and being able to lead others, and help them to find their way, boundaries was essential. We had policies and regulations all over the place. So as I navigate into business coaching, again, no is a complete sentence. And as women, we need to stand by that. When we say no, stop. You don't have to explain. If the answer is no, if someone's asking you to do something outside of your strengths or your values or something that if you're not comfortable or ready to do, you can say that. And again, it is very important that we understand that in both home and personal. And one of the things when it comes to boundaries that I wanted to make mention of is there's a cost to not setting boundaries in our lives. And one of the things that we learned in Rachel's book, her book is We Should All Be Millionaires, is about the effective hourly rate. And it's a quick calculation where you take your gross monthly and you divide it by 160 hours. And that is going to give you your hourly rate. So if someone is asking you to do something outside of your zone of genius, or something that you really want to do, say, or something that you don't feel is adding value to the vision or to the plan that you've set for yourself, I encourage you to figure out what your hourly rate is and see whether that action, that favor, that time is worth it. And I'll say, if it's on the phone with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or friends who just want to gossip, and you have this project you need to work on, or a client you need to work with, or something you need to prepare for, or a meeting that you have to prep for, is it worth that hourly rate to sit on the phone and have that conversation, or be like, I'm gonna need to take a rain check. Can you call? Matter of fact, call Courtney, call Tracy. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell them to call one of the core four. But again, I just wanted to just lay out a few of the things that comes with setting boundaries and how important it is to know your value, to know your worth. And sometimes we don't know how to calculate that. So when you have a number, something you can anchor to, I would offer you that tool or that formula to figure out your effective hourly rate. Again, it's just taking your gross monthly and dividing it by 160 hours, because you're working roughly 40 hours a week. And that will give you that hourly rate. And so you can also use this strategy when it comes to setting your prices for things to come. And if that number is too low, double it. But boundaries, again, they're crucial. It's crucial for your mental health. It's crucial for everything that you're doing in your life, to be able to stand by, the things that you set, so that you can succeed and seek abundance and have more abundance in your life. And so at this point, I am going to transition or segue into Ceria. Ceria is going to talk to us about a little bit more about the $1 Million Squad and what that means.
Yes. So hello, everyone. My name is Ceria, but you can call me CC, as most people do. I am the founder and CEO of Soul Liberation. I am an Akashic Record alchemist, a Reiki master, and a business coach. And basically, I am all things metaphysical. So I coach and teach women how to thrive in their divine essence. I teach them how to build frameworks that is aligned with their core values and who they are. and to stop playing small, trying to fit in and build businesses that are not aligned. And that is the reason why they fail. So what I do is I go into the Akashic Records, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And I actually get the information to help you align with your divinity. So you will know exactly who you are at soul level, your divine gifts, and any products or services that you are selling that are not in alignment with your business. And then I help you change that into alchemy and create a framework where you can thrive in your business, all summed up. But most importantly, like here today, as far as a squad, let me tell you how important that is, because being in the field that I am in and being an empath and really doing things solo from an energy standpoint, I realized that I needed a squad. I needed to be able to talk to people so that they can understand the things and challenges that I am going through. And also to get a squad that can help me move forward. All of us move forward together. Someone that could hold me, or it could be an individual, it could be 4 or 5, it could be a group, it really doesn't matter. Someone who is vibing on the same energy level as you are, and then also sees the end goal of wealth or whatever that may be for you. But what I really like about like this squad here, and there's some other cadets on the call here as well that are also other people that I speak with, is that the accountability piece, the motivation that you get from a genuine squad is just unbelievable. The love you receive from that to kind of push you forward when you believe that, you know, you're in your head, oh, it's not working, it's taking too long, I'm not good enough, like all of those things that come up as, you know, business owners. Your squad will be there to pick you up. They will tell you, stop playing yourself, okay? You can do this. And so many times they have done this for me. And it's so important. It's like a pillar in my business. We talk every day, some sort of way, whether it be through text, on the phone, we jump on for a few minutes because we need to stay connected. So I say that to say that if you do not have a squad or you don't know how to create a squad, we are here to help you with that today. And then we'll like flesh that out so you can find people who you vibe with and can help you scale and grow your business. You can hang out with us because we're here for you too. All those good things. The other thing, I think it was Jim Rohn who said your success is in your squad. Absolutely true. And I've like read all the books and watched all the videos and all that stuff. And early on in my entrepreneur journey, I was just like, yeah, I don't really want to, you know, do that. But as I started to open myself up to be around other people, I realized it is absolutely the truth. You are not going to get to that destination alone. So why not pair up with a group of people to help you get there and you all win? The other thing I'll add here is that within your squad, you all are rooting for each other. And when I say that is that there are times when we're on a call and we're looking for opportunities, retreats, collaborations, and we all are thinking about where we all fit in. It isn't anything where it's separate. We're like, oh, you know what, Mel can speak to this, Courtney, oh, Tracy got this, oh, okay, you know, we can do all of this together. So we are bringing each other along, whether it is like a podcast, or if you're on a podcast, you are referring one of your, you know, squad family members, as you could call it, like, hey, you need to get this person on your podcast. She's very knowledgeable in this industry. It's just that kind of love and support that will help you build and grow your business. So if you don't have a squad, we're going to get you one today. And I'm going to turn that on over to Tracy.
Court, do you want to go first, or you want me to go with money generated activities first? I know.
So we kind of went a little out of order, you know, but it's okay. We went out of order, so we started talking about our thing. So that's fine. I can go back and then you can just end with yours and introduce yourself. Okay.
I'll stay mysterious for another 10 minutes. I'll just be, you know. Just the unknown.
Yeah, just for a second, Tracy, just a little bit longer now. But so guys, I'm back. I'm Courtney Teasley again. I'm the founder and CEO of MFN. And so I'm talking to you all about my favorite daily 7 habits. And so the daily 7, so you all know the book We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. That is the company Hello 7 that she founded that we are being certified under. And in that book, she really beats home about the daily 7 habits that you can do that help you make these $1 million decisions, which are decisions that help grow you, give you more space, energy, and time. And you can do these regardless if you're working part-time, regardless if you're pregnant, regardless if you're in a divorce, regardless if your company's making good money or your company's making no money. You can do these habits every single day, and they actually help you make better $1 million decisions, help you grow your business in a way. So Mel has talked to you about one of them, and we'll go back through, and Ceria talked to you about connect with your squad. And I'm going to talk to you about delegating one task on your to-do list to someone else. Delegate one task on your to-do list to someone else. Now, before I get into this, I really want to kind of talk to you all about women in general, right? I want to challenge you. Now, do you have a savior complex? Right? Are you one of the people who feel like, I have to do it or it won't get done, right? You're the only one to get things done right? You're the only one who can do everything, because if you don't do it, it's not right, right? We've all been there, right? I'm going to be asking you to challenge these beliefs that were deeply ingrained in you or that you saw growing up. A lot of us from marginalized communities, we would see our parents and our grandparents, and they had to be all of that plus more due to being enslaved, right? And freed and killed, intimidated, threatened, just trying to live. And they had to jump through hurdles. And so as a result, they taught us to be very strong. And so in that, a lot of times, we don't say no so much, right? We feel like we have the burden of the world. We have to do some of these things. And so the problem comes in when we believe we should appear strong even when we don't feel strong. That's the issue. When we feel like we need to appear strong even when we don't feel strong. So we have accept means not acknowledging our true feelings and keeping things inside. And all of this is born out of sexism, oppression, racism, this archetype, right, that we behold to, that we got to do everything. And so I love this. Number. I think this is number 1 on the daily 7 habits, which is delegate one task on your to-do list to someone else. It's because naturally we want to do everything. Naturally, we're like, listen, it's going to take me longer to explain what to do and tell you what to do than if I just get up and go do it myself. Well, don't go back to what Mel told you about. Effective hourly rate. Let's start there. Any $10 and $20 tasks, right? Now, I was reading a book and they were talking about those $10 and $20 tasks, and it was this billionaire, right? This guy's like, oh, I wanted to save some money. So, the fax machine went down and I figured it out. I fixed it. He said, how long did it take you to fix it? Oh, it took me about 6-7 hours. Oh, okay. And then you still didn't figure it out. He ended up hiring a guy, paying him about $100 to come and fix it in an hour. So let's break down how much do you actually make per hour, right? And he has all this good money. Let's say he made maybe, I don't know, $1,000, right? He was $1,000 an hour.
You have been making $1,000 per hour. When you broke it down, he spent $6,000 trying to fix something that he paid $100 to fix. And a lot of times we do that because yes, you can figure it out. Yes, you can be the jack of all trades. However, your time is better spent in other places. So delegating one task on your to-do list to someone else. You might think, who can I give it to? I don't know who's gonna handle it, right? Oh, well, what about your children, right? Are they there? Can they learn a new skill? Do you hate washing dishes? I know I do. taught my daughter how to wash dishes because I was sick of washing dishes. Oh, okay, grocery shopping. It causes you a little anxiety or whatnot. Can we hire somebody on TaskRabbit to do that? Right? We need a babysitter. Do we have an ex-spouse that can watch, that you can push to get to actually do what they should be doing? We just don't advocate on behalf of ourselves a lot of times. We won't take that time to advocate on behalf of ourselves, which is you need time to yourself. You need time to grow you. And so that requires you to speak up on behalf of you. You have to open your mouth and say, hey, I need help. Move that savior complex shit out the way, right? Push down. No, we're not being this strong woman anymore. No, we're asking for the help we need, and we're giving ourselves the time that we need to get it done, right? And so if that means that you don't like something, well, I heard a woman once, she called them her college, they were like college assistants. And so she would get college students, they would come out, she would hire them for 5 hours a week, maybe about $20, $25 an hour. And we'd be like, well, what do they do? We were sitting there, it was like foreign to everyone. And she's like, oh, just stuff I don't feel like doing, right? Oh, like what? Changing the baby? Oh, okay. Unloading the dishwasher? Oh, brilliant. Cleaning out my car? Setting up my schedule, just any type of thing that is a $10 and $20 task. And so, having a virtual assistant is another way, is a very, very cost-effective way to clear tasks off your plate. But if you're not there yet, or if you're uncomfortable, TaskRabbit is great as well. I say all this because you start there with the effective hourly rate and start delegating these things that take a lot of your time that anyone can do because they're not in your zone of genius. And so next, you learn about your zone of genius, right? You figure out what your strengths are. You take a strengths test. You see what you do best and delegate all the other shit, right? Anything else that's not in your strengths, we're delegating. It takes you a lot of time and you really don't enjoy it anyway. I mean, you could do it. You're not bad at it, but so can a lot of other people do, right? So the best to me, and these other ladies are going to tell you differently. They're going to be like, oh, no, this is the other one. Listen to this Daily 7 one. No, this Daily 7 one right here can make you a lot of money if you actually give yourself the space, energy, time, and freedom you need to do it. And delegating one task will do that for you in the next year. So I challenge you, next year, figure out a way to delegate one thing each day off your to-do list. Just one thing. Every day you get up, look at your to-do list and say, who can I have to do this? Who can I assign to do this? Can I call my aunt and see if she can do this? Can I do ABCDFG? Just get creative and think about how you can create more time so you can actually focus on the bigger things, such as growing your assets and bringing in that money you want to bring. So with that being said, I'll pass you on over to my Leo Virgo cusp twin, Tracy Eames.
Hey y'all, I will agree with Courtney. Delegating is my favorite one off the entire list because, as I said in the chat, it gives you all the time back, right? So if you're nervous about the Daily 7, and we often hear this, like, I don't have time to add something else to my plate. Like, what are you talking about? The Daily 7 is quick. It's a few minutes. And the best part is you start by giving something away. So you should be at least time neutral, but also gaining back time every day. So I love all of that, Courtney. So I'm Tracy Eames. I am the president and founder of Teams & Co. And we are an organization that helps businesses accelerate their growth. So we help them figure out who their customer is, how to define a strategy to deliver an exceptional customer experience. And then we empower their teams. And we believe that teams are the power of success, hence the name Teams & Co. And so I get the fun task of talking about my second favorite Daily 7 idea, which is a money generating activity. So something else on the list is that you're going to look at your money every day to kind of know where you stand. And this could be just helping you budget. It also helps you kind of figure out, hey, where'd that pesky bank fee come from, right? Just kind of knowing where your money stands every day is really important. What I'm going to talk about is the other Daily 7 activity, which is do one money generating activity every single day. And this is really important, especially for the businesses we work with, because the goal for that is growth, right? And so the way you grow is to generate more and more revenue. And this doesn't have to be big. And the thing I love about this, as we're working with entrepreneurs and CEOs and teams, is how do you build this just into your daily consistency? Because honestly, money generating activities and sales, is mostly just that it's consistency, and they can start to snowball, right? So if you're thinking about, hey, I'm just starting out, maybe, your money generating activity is you're going to make a list of everybody you know and your friends and family, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to tell them about what I'm offering, right? You have a new business, you're really excited about it, and you're just going to send an email, right? Sometimes we jump to like, what Facebook ad should I be running? And it honestly doesn't have to be that complicated. It can just be the simple act of writing an email, telling your friends what you're doing, and you don't have to send them all in one day. So maybe you make a list of 100 people, and the first day you send 5 emails. That's a money generating activity. Sending 1 email is a money generating activity. So if you don't have time one day and you're like, oh, Tracy says I have to do this, but I don't really want to do this, just write one thing, right? Like 1 email out the door. And sometimes you're going to get a sale off that email. The other thing you're going to get that I really love it as like a career marketer is you're going to get learning out of it, right? So you might send 5 or 6 emails, and then if, half those people email you back and say, oh, that's great, Tracy, but what date does this start? Well, then okay, in the next batch of emails, I'm going to include that FAQ. I'm going to say the start date of this program is March 30th, right? And then you send out the next batch and you're like, you get a bunch of questions, all right, this is great, but how do I pay? Which is the question we all want. How do I pay? Then you're like, okay, I'm going to put in my next email, I'm going to put like the different payment options, right? And so that way people know ahead of time. So over time, you're doing money generating activity, right? You're asking people for the sale, you're telling them what you do. You're also learning in the process, because as you're sending out these notes, you're getting feedback about what you're talking about. The other thing that I love about this is it can be a team activity, right? So you can all sit down and you can have if you're in an organization and you're like, hey, I don't own my own business, but I lead a team and we have a big, sales goal. Great. So maybe you have a team meeting and that's your sales generating activities. You're all going to brainstorm what you're each going to do to hit the revenue number, right? And what's going to be your role. And then everybody has a daily task within the organization to say, okay, my job is I'm going to go meet with one customer in person, and somebody else's job is going to be that they're going to run the Facebook ad and the landing page and the funnel to drive sales. And somebody else's task is that they're going to, call all the people who used to buy from us but don't buy from us anymore and say, hey, we have this new offer. Do you want to, would you be interested in it? Right. And so again, it can be a solo activity. If you're a solopreneur, you can sit down and you can brainstorm how you can do a money generating activity. It can also be something in the words of Courtney that you can kind of combine and delegate, right? You can have a group activity and think about how can we all do this? So it's not just on my plate, right? Especially as you start having team members, then hey, if I'm doing an activity and they're doing an activity, that's at least 2 activities every day that we're doing to generate money. And then as you sort of think about like the other, daily 7 that we've talked about, as Ceria talked about, we have our squads, right? So if you can't think of a daily, a money generating activity, call your squad and be like, hey, I have no idea. These are all the things I've tried. What else would you try, right? And that's a great way that you can, check off some of these as you can start to combine them, right? So you call your squad. I do this often. I call the 3 ladies that are on this call all the time. I'm like, okay, I tried this. So now what do I try? As Mel talked about, this can help you set boundaries, because if you look at your day and you're like, I have no time to do a money generating activity, then your next task is to either delegate something and also figure out how I set a boundary for that time, right? It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be long, but can I set a boundary where I can reclaim 30 minutes of my time to send an email or do that social media post or call a client that I worked with last month and I want to rekindle the relationship and offer something else in return. So hopefully as we kind of talk through these things, you can see how the daily 7 can reinforce each other. And my favorite thing about this one in particular is that it gives you a sense of focus. So if you're sort of like, I don't know where to start, and a lot of times we hear this from entrepreneurs who are just getting started in their business, but honestly, I've had these moments too as a person who's been in business for almost 5 years. Sometimes you just wake up and you're like, I don't know what I want to do today. I have a lot of things on my to-do list and I don't know which one to start with because they're all big and they're all kind of going to take a long time. And you just kind of like, you drink a cup of coffee and then you drink another cup of coffee and you're like, I'm not sure. Like you just notice that you're doing a lot of other things that don't really matter, but you're not really checking anything off your list for the day. The next thing I do is try to do this. I try to do a money generating activity because it just gets you in the mindset of, I have a great offer. It's worth something to people. It generates value. I can help the clients that I'm looking to serve. And if you can get into that headspace about talking about your offer and talking to your clients, you're going to gain a little bit of momentum. And it also helps kind of drown out the noise. So you can be like, okay, well, maybe today isn't the day I'm going to collect receipts for my expense report. Today, I'm going to actually sit down and write this email. And, I think it helps with focus and momentum. So they're all great, the Daily 7. That's why I really love the money generating activity one. That's how I think about it. And like I said, if all else fails and you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do as my money generating activity today, you can call your squad and I guarantee you they'll have at least 5 or 6 ideas to take you through the week, and then you can go from there. So
Tracy, I love that, because you know what? I'm thinking of, talk to your squad about your offer. Like, how many times have we got on and brainstormed about our offer, because the fear, right? That fear creeps in. You don't know, like, okay, is this the right investment pricing? What's the value here? So even just having your squad to look at what your offer is, get comfortable with talking about your offer, get comfortable with saying the dollar amount, practice that with your squad. It will definitely boost your energy levels.
yeah, amen to that. I mean, I think Courtney did a ton of great coaching with me ad hoc one day about my offer. And I think it's great, right? Like, it's great having other people that you can bounce ideas off of who are thinking about things similarly than you, but also have a completely different perspective.
Yes.
And that's what I love about our squad. It's like, yeah, we all generally have a framework in our head where we're like, hey, we believe in the same kind of general mission and ideals, but we also have a ton of different experience in this world. And then you get to hear things that either A, you never thought of, or B, my favorite moments with you all is like the things that should have been more obvious to me, and you say them out loud, and I'm like, I don't know how I missed that, but good call. Good call.
I love that. So let me tell you what I love about that is, and then also, so you all know, we're going to, we'll have a link down there for you to join the $1 Million Connectors Facebook group. And for everyone who joins, we'll be sending you all a copy of the Daily 7 worksheet, so you all can have it for yourselves, and it kind of details and breaks down. But Tracy, I love how you kind of weaved all of that together, right? Like, money generating activity, that one can be a tough one. Right? It can be tough one. It can be tough because in your mind, you can really build it up somewhere where it's like you're nervous about doing it. Or it's like, oh my gosh, you keep putting it off, right? Because it's so much pressure. But like you said, it's not that hard. You can do something very simple, right? And I don't think people look at that. So to have ideas of how to do it and what to do, which is what the Daily 7 is, just like even when I'm sitting at home and I'm on my own case and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not doing anything, I can look and say, oh, I could do a newsletter. Oh, I could send this out. Oh, I didn't do as much as I thought I did. Okay, I can send an email, right? We'll put that up in our minds. We're like, oh, I did everything, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sure you did. Send another email.
Yeah.
I love that. I've done everything. Send another email.
Send another email.
Yeah,
Just
I think it's so true, Court, right? Like I think we overcomplicate the money generating activity one. I think we get really scared of like, oh, people are going to say no. And I first started my career out in sales, which is ironic and funny to think about because everybody here knows me as like a serial introvert. So the fact that I was always out there talking to people is a little bit ironic. But the thing that I had a really great boss who told me, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to say no. Like, yeah, people are going to say no. They might not want the thing you want. Okay, so then you just ask the next person. And the good news is, that they don't want it. So you don't have to that's one thing off your list. You learned something and you tried something, it didn't work, but that's okay. It's just, and I think that practice of getting used to no is great, right?
I totally agree. I feel like, we learned this a lot. A good offer compels as well as repels, right? Mm-hmm. Just because you put it together and you put out an offer doesn't mean that someone else wants it. Maybe you should tweak it. Maybe not. Maybe that's just not for them. So Melissa, Mel, I'm trying to hear from you, and Ceria. Do y'all want to tap into?
Well, yeah, that just goes back to
I have a few things,
right? Your offer should be in alignment with like who you are and what you represent and the energy that you bring to that as well. So that's what I was speaking about earlier, where it's not separate. You know, when you'll feel the energy shift when you're trying to sell a service or sell a product that you are not aligned with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So as you are building your offer and you're having your calls, you really want to check in with yourself to, you know, say, does this really align? Is this who I am? Is this a product or service that someone can benefit from based on their divine gifts, or is it useful for them? And a lot of times I do see this with, especially, you know, women business owners. They think that selling a bunch of services because maybe they see other people doing it, or, you know, there's some trend that's going on and it's totally against like who they are. It doesn't even fit, but they're trying to make it fit. And the minute that they understand that the energy that they're putting into that is not going to sell that service, then they go back to the drawing board to try to create something more authentic. And that's the reason why building an authentic squad is so important too, because you also have to show up in your authentic self. You should have a squad where you're able to come to your squad and say what's going on. If you have to think about it and you're thinking like, oh, what are they going to think of me? Or I can't say it, and then you're in the wrong squad. You have to come in your authentic self and be open to, you know, be coached or to vibe with the different energies that's within your squad, or you're doing yourself a disservice.
I totally
And I
agree.
take that as being ready to receive. Like, you have to be ready to receive. And it's okay if the person doesn't align with you. So like when we hear about discovery calls or let's get on an alignment call, that's a two-way street. That's not just for the person, the potential client, to answer a bunch of questions or tell about themselves. It's also for the client, the potential client, to vet that coach or that person, that mentor that they're going to work with. Because if they are not feeling it, then they should have a right and they have a choice to not move forward with that individual. So what was coming to mind earlier when Tracy was speaking, well, when all of you were talking, was no. You know, I'm all about saying no when you need time and setting these boundaries. So Tracy, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to finances, like the money generating activities, what is your take on going for no? Like going for no, or even hearing no, how many times, like when we think about conversion rates, what is something that you can share with us as a goal, or just, hey, it's okay if you hear no, just keep going?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing from a marketing perspective, and Mel's asking me this question because I spent a lot of time in marketing in my life. You know, I see this the most, a little bit of what like Ceria was mentioning is social media, right? Like people think that no matter what they're selling, social media should be a good fit. And they're like, well, somebody else did this thing on social media, so that must be the way to do it. But then I also see them get really kind of disappointed if it doesn't work, right? And so the challenge of it is like not every channel works for every person. So one of the great things about the daily 7, do one money generating activity per day, is it lets you test different stuff, right? And marketing, I mean, I know people make it sound like it's super complicated. It doesn't have to be. It just is basically you telling somebody else about your offer in a way that makes them want to buy it, right? And so you have to think about like, what's the benefit for them? Why would they want to pay me money for this? Like, but you could take like time periods, right? You don't want to switch every day, but like the way I sort of think about it is, okay, I'm going to take 2 weeks and I'm going to test a bunch of different stuff. I'll just use LinkedIn as an example. I'm going to test a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn. I'm going to maybe write an article every couple of days and see what responses I get. I might do a video. You know, I might post a webinar, but I'm going to do a bunch of activities on LinkedIn. Or you might say, hey, I'm going to do Instagram. I have a great Instagram, you know, following. So I'm going to post, you know, I'm going to try every day to post something on Instagram, maybe a live or two. And then I'm going to see what happens. And you won't know in the beginning what your metrics are, but that's part of the reason you do this in the beginning, is to figure it out, right? Like when you first sit down to write your email to 100 friends, you have no idea what your conversion rate's going to be, which is basically, I sent an email to 100 people. If 10 of them buy, I have a 10% conversion rate. That means 10% of them converted on the offer. But you don't know that on day one, right? So maybe the first 100 emails you send, you're like, oh, I got no responses. Okay, well then all that tells you is not that you're, you know, you've failed at the activity. It just means maybe I have to change my messaging. So you might want to go back and then like interview your ideal client or whoever who you think and say, hey, this is how I'm explaining my offer. Does this make sense? Does this resonate with you? Does this make you want to buy? And then those people might say, actually, that's interesting, but I'd be much more interested in this. Or if you said it this way, or that's a good time to reach out to your squad, which I've done a million times. Like, hey, I'm going to describe my offer this way. Does that sound interesting to you? And usually the feedback I get is, wow, there's a lot of words. Could you cut this down by 50%? But again, it just kind of gives you a sounding board, because we might have this great offer. You might just have to try a few different ways. Your audience might like a video. Your audience might like a blog. Your audience might like a Facebook post, but you're not wrong if you test that channel. It just means that might not be where your customer is, right? So some people's customers are on Facebook, some people's customers are on LinkedIn, some people's customers are nowhere except for on their email list, and that's okay too, right? I know a lot of people who have thriving email lists and they do great. So hopefully that answers the question. But I guess my point is, there's no one right way to do it. It's just really understanding who your customer is and trying to understand, how do I reach that person where they're at?
So I wanted to chime in there, and it reminded me of something. You all probably see a lot of posts from Amy Porterfield. She's the course queen and all of that good stuff. And so in that, one thing she said that was very, that kind of stood out to me was the fact that when it comes to marketing, right, have fun with it, right? You're trying to speak to your ideal client. And so she would sometimes create 2 separate landing pages, and you're seeing okay, well, I got the buy button up top on this one, I got the buy button down here, or I'm using this messaging in one and I kind of tweaked it in that one, and you're just seeing what resonates most with people, right? And so it's I think a lot of times, I know for me, right, when I take so much time to create something, you want it to just work. You want people to just go ahead and start buying it, and when they don't, it's frustrating. But I think if we change that, right, that anger, that anxious energy, needing whatnot or anything of that nature, or even thinking it's a failure and thinking oh no, we're just having fun and we're learning. I think that to me makes a lot of sense. And then my marketing expert, she just signed off on it. So she said it's awesome.
Okay. So I wanted to bring this up, strategy, having a strategy, having a plan, a blueprint, whatever you want to call it. We refer to it in Hello 7 in our community as a framework. Everyone has a framework. We see it in every business, everywhere we go. And so I look at a framework like real estate, building a house. If your foundation is not strong, then whatever structure you're putting on that flimsy foundation, it is going to fall. I mean, think about the 3 little pigs. I'm not trying to be the one where my house blows away. So I want my foundation, my framework, and my blueprint to be solid. And sometimes it takes time to front load when we're out here making decisions or making plans and trying to execute that vision to come up with that framework. And it doesn't mean that I'm glued to it forever, but at least gives me something to anchor to, that foundation, that strategy. And then we can talk about the daily 7 and how we incorporate that into our strategy and our plan, because that's kind of the energy source that you're going to need as you move forward in business. Those of us that served primarily in the Air Force, I liken the daily 7 to our CAF pillars, making sure that we are taking care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and mentally, and that it helps to build that endurance and that resilience, that mental fortitude, making sure that we are around people that are feeding and pouring into us. The daily 7 just adds some money activities to it to make it to incentivize it a little bit more. So when I think of strategy, I think of Courtney, and I also think of Ceria. So Courtney, if you don't mind talking about the flywheel as part of the strategy, but then with Ceria, just the framework itself and how it aligns and should align with who you are as a person.
Thank you, Mel. So I had the pleasure of going to a mastermind with the ConvertKit owner, Nathan Berry, and Rachel Rogers. They have a podcast right now called the Billionaire Podcast. And so they were doing some live recordings, and they hosted a sort of impromptu mastermind that I went to, and I learned about, and I've had ConvertKit forever, but I really liken this. I learned about flywheels, and a flywheel is basically just creating a method for your subscribers, right? Because ConvertKit allows you to monetize having subscribers and without ever having to do social media marketing, anything. And for people who've been in business a long time, email is the cheat code, right? That's where the money is. A lot of people think that, when I actually saw a meme the other day, I don't know if Tracy can support this or not, but they said that posting on social media alone is not marketing. It's not enough for marketing. And so the email is the cheat code. And I found that out when I ran a campaign where we were able to win against all odds, but we didn't, we did a lot of social media stuff, but the real work kind of went on in the emails and having the list of people. And these people trust you, right? They're in your circle. They want to hear from you. They signed up. If you go through ConvertKit, they've double signed up, meaning they've told you that for sure I want to be here. And so you have a better conversion rate. And so you create a flywheel. And so the idea of the flywheel is like, you ever see back in the day when people are pumping water. And so when you stop pumping, the water stops coming out. However, the flywheel is kind of hard to start, but once you get it going, it's automated and then the water is coming plentiful, right? And so that was the same thing. It was just like knowing how to take a piece of your content, whether it be a podcast, whether it be a newsletter, whether it be an article, whether it be a post, and then you put it out into your email list. You have your call to action, whatever your goal is. You want to get more subscribers, you want to get a sale or whatnot, but you create a flywheel for each of that. And you just take a piece of that content, send it out to your subscribers, and you're documenting each thing you're doing. Because every time you have another piece of content, you do the same thing, right? And it goes back into that flywheel, grabbing more subscribers. All right, now we have more subscribers. Here's another piece of content. Here's this. So it had multiple ways for you to do that. But the point was automating these things, right? Creating this, making this a part of your marketing, actually taking time to build your email list, which is something that we often don't do because we see so many other people posting on social media. Well, the money is not always there for everybody. Sometimes it is, but for people who maybe don't fare well there or don't like that route, the email list is a huge game changer. And so I think if you all have any questions concerning that, please ask me or whatnot, and I can go a little bit deeper into it, but I definitely want to make sure we leave time for y'all to just have questions and just kind of kick it back and forth.
Yeah, I'll just speak quickly about the framework so we can get to the questions. And I just want to say that the framework is the most important pillar of your business. It is the foundation of everything in your business. Once you have the framework and you know who you are talking to, you know the transformation that you're going to give your client, everything sits in the framework. You don't have to worry about what am I going to post today? What am I going to talk about? All of the information that you're going to use to scale your business is going to come out of the framework. Multiple streams of income and revenue is going to come out of your framework because you're going to look at those three pillars and determine, okay, can I do a VIP day out of this? Can I do a retreat out of this? Can I do a workshop out of this? A speaking engagement out of this? But first, you have to have the framework of what you are selling and what is the transformation that you are providing to your potential client. And you do nothing else but speak only about that. When I understood how powerful that was, it was like a game changer for me. Like my squad can tell you, it was like, all the lights went off because I was that person before about, oh, okay, I'm selling this. I have this service. I can do this and I can do that. And it was just all over the place. And yes, I could do those things, but it wasn't scalable. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't bringing in the revenue that I wanted. But when I realized how I could take one pillar within my business and create a structured framework for it, then I was able to build coaching programs. I was able to do a VIP day, speaking engagements, and things of that nature. So if you don't have a framework for your business, I highly recommend that you kind of look at that and see what that looks like. And definitely, if you need help with that, that is what I specialize in. I can help you do that. But before you start going and talking about websites and colors and fonts and pretty writing and all of that, do you know who you serve? Do you know what the transformation is? Is it in alignment with who you are? Because if it is not, you are going to be on the biggest hamster wheel of your life.
Okay,
Oh,
Tracy.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I was like, that was the Lord. I said that was the word straight from the Lord. But that was amazing. So we just want to keep ourselves open now for any questions, guys. Like, this is very late, but we wanted to just give you all these kind of tips and things that have helped us over this past year, right? And growing our businesses. And now any kind of questions. And oh, I saw one from Sheena R in here. But she posted, she said, one thing that came to mind is, it's one thing to hear no from others and setting boundaries, but also allowing yourself to say no to things that don't align in order to bring about abundance. Can I just tell you, first of all, Sheena, listen, girl, that one, and I think I have on here Ashley Telford with Raw Authentic Plus. And I think she knows much about that as well, but I definitely, that to me stands out because that was part of Mel's boundaries, right? When I was creating these boundaries for myself as I was building my business, it was just easy for me to say, hey, listen, how is this growing me? You know what I mean? It's taking me away for multiple hours, not within my zone of genius. You know what I mean? I'm not networking, right? There's no benefit for me to be here. I'm not necessarily wanting to do it. And so a lot of times I found out I just felt like I was doing things because I was obligated to do it, right? Or it was a good opportunity. And I was like, but the best freedom came from just saying, hell no, 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 no.
I love it. I love that. I love thinking about that. And like the thing that came up to me when I saw that comment too is I think a lot of times we think about boundaries as we're about to get into a fight with somebody, and it doesn't have to be confrontational at all, right? Like it can be as easy as saying to, like Mel said, like saying to one of your friends, like, hey, I can't talk at 3, but can we talk at 5, right? Or hey, you know what? Like I'd love to do dinner, but I actually have a big deliverable. I mean, at the end of the day, our friends and families want us to be successful. And I've had a lot of these, what we build up in our mind is like going to be this super tough conversation. Oftentimes isn't, right? Because when we explain to somebody, hey, I'd love to do that, but I have this really important thing to do, most of the time we just hear like, oh, great. I hope that goes well. Or is there anything I can do, right? And I think sometimes we just build these up as like, oh man, I can't be the one that changes this like routine, when in reality we can. So I would just kind of also remember when you're having these conversations, like a lot of them are not as big as we make them in our head, that, like we're not coming into it as like, oh, this is a fight. We're just coming in asking for some space that we need in that moment. And then maybe we can do that thing in a different moment. And so somebody told me that, and when I was setting a boundary, and they're like, I hope you haven't worried about this conversation. And I was like, actually, I did. And I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And they're like, no, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Like, I get it. Like, you have a business and you have to do stuff with that. And it's also good to set boundaries for just rest we need, or time we need and space we need for ourselves, right? Like, not all of this has to be about our business. It can be about like, hey, you know what? I just need like 5 minutes to do this other thing, right? And I need some time and space to do that. So I just think about it in different ways too, because we don't always have to like be making it for like this big important business task. We're really important, and our self-care is really important. So if you need to find 30 minutes to go on a walk, or one of the things I never delegate, for example, is walking my dog, because I just find that time to be amazing, right? 30 minutes outside just lets me clear my brain and do all the things. So like, could somebody else walk her? Yeah, but like I really just genuinely enjoy that.
I see Sheena
speaking of time.
Yeah,
look,
Mel, before
look,
you do
the
that,
boundary.
Sheena, look, it's the boundaries. But let Sheena came off. Listen, she gave us that question. Let Sheena answer. Sheena, you got any comments on that question you put in there? Oh, we can't hear you. I think you might be on mute. Oh no. We can't hear you. But you can put it in the chat for us if you can't get your volume to work. Okay, put it in the chat and we'll follow up with you. But go ahead, Mel. You were closing out. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to miss her.
Look, I was about to say, speaking of time, it is time to go, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm in charge of boundaries today, and we are going to respect your time as well as ours. And we are going to get off this call because some of us have requirements we need to meet by tomorrow to get our certification. So we want to thank you all for showing up and spending time
We
with
didn't
us.
see if
And
they
as
had
you see in
questions
the
for
face or
us.
in the
I
chat,
know. I'm like, they may be
have
willing to stay,
questions.
Mel.
okay,
And listen, Mel is military, y'all. Mel is
okay.
military. And so she is she don't play about these time frames. So
She
y'all, we just
don't.
gonna Mel, Sergeant Mel, can we have maybe 9 more minutes? Sergeant Mel, just 9 more minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, so
Okay.
if anybody wants to
Permission
chime
granted.
in, y'all, we would love to talk with y'all. Questions that you have. And I see Ashley Talford wrote in here, I now know my ideal client. I'm working on who I serve presently, but my ideal client is similar to me and she is me. I recently had an aha moment and that will now help me with social media and showing up a little more. I will talk to who I serve like my bestie who seeks out the same things as myself. It is brilliant because who told us that as we were getting our training was the Robert Hartwell, and he was talking about that. So I see you guys are popping off, but I think, Ashley, that is, if you're doing that, Tracy, can you sign off on her expert? Is that brilliant or not?
I love that. I love talking to people. Like, I love having the ideal client in your head because then you can, if you speak to your best friend, you just don't have as much, worry about it, right? Because then you know who you're talking to and it gives you a bit more of an authentic voice too, right? I think Ceria was talking about being authentic earlier. If you sound authentic, it's so much better than trying to be like, I now sound like a robot. So picturing a friend that might like your service helps you kind of be a bit more relaxed in your copy, which is nice.
I love it because Robert Hartwell talked about the book that we loved, the We Should All Be Millionaires book, about how she wrote that to her sister, like, so to a friend. So when you're reading it, you laugh at it. It's like it feels like a friend is talking to you. And so if nobody else, if you all have any other questions, you want to come off mute, we're here. We'll be here. But I know we don't want to be respectful of y'all's time. Sergeant Mel was on our asses. We don't have time.
We also have the Facebook group too. So if folks want to pop into the Facebook group and leave comments there, we can jump in there and answer questions because I don't think we're going to get much more than 7 minutes of grace. I'm not going to be honest.
I don't think so either. But we do need to tell them this, Mel. Mel, we do need to tell them about
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mel, I'm so sorry. May I just... But I say this, that we're going to be at ROI and you'll see us at a lot of different conferences. Yeah. So as you're coming to these different conferences, you may be, oh, it's Selena. Yes, girl. Thank you, Selena, raising your hand. But we're going to be at all these conferences. You all check our page out and we'll be having events there. We're going to do a speed networking event. And each night we'll be doing dinner in a different place and you are more than welcome to join us, right? Get a little good dinner, get a little coaching at the same time while your brain is being tantalized with all this information at the conference. So Selena, you take on.
Selena, you did amazing yesterday with that $1 million vision spreadsheet. Let's go.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Love it.
Also coach. Well, guys, if there's nothing else, we're going to let you all go. Thank you all so much for being so just engaged with us, listening to our thought process on these things. And, again, follow us on our different journeys. It's enough for everyone to eat out here. There's no competition here. For someone else who we have different people who check off different boxes. Selena here is a coach as well. We don't feel like there's competition. We want to grow. We're trying to grow all marginalized communities, right? Because that's how we actually change the layout as it is. So thank y'all for joining us. Go to that Facebook group and let's keep the conversation going.